Hello, I'm Greg Atlas, and this is the beta of BattleTech by Harebrained Schemes. BattleTech is a turn-based strategy game based on the BattleTech franchise that started in 1984 by a company called FASA. Other games you may have heard of that came out of these minds include Crimson Skies, Shadowrun, Star Trek the role-playing game, and the Doctor Who role-playing game. If you have ever heard of MechWarrior, Mech Commander, or Mech Assault, you should know that they take place within the BattleTech universe. The main differences being that the MechWarrior franchise is typically first-person or simulation-type games, Mech Commander being real-time strategy games, BattleTech being turn-based strategy or RPG games and tabletop games, and Mech Assault, well, it's kind of an arcade shooter and was one of the first successful Xbox Live games. I must thank Jordan Wiseman and Ross Babcock for creating such an immersive series that I literally grew up with. Thank you, Jordan and Harebrained Schemes, for reviving the series after Microsoft let the IP remain inactive for so long. That being said, let's finally start a game. Multiplayer is unavailable right now, but I hope to bring you multiplayer matches in the future. For now, we have a 4v4 skirmish mode. I will now take a moment to set up the team I want to use. Alright, so here we are in the loadout screen, or the briefing screen if you would rather, since we can't really change our loadouts for the specific mechs. Before I'm going to go into my setup right here, or the enemy setup, I'm going to go over how this works. So right here, this is your battle value, or this is what I'm going to call battle value because this is how tabletop calculates out different values for different units given their tonnage and capabilities. Note that it doesn't include the calculations for what the pilots would provide, probably because that is a subjective value anyway, because that can't really be quantified. In the mission settings, we can change how much battle value total we have. This is great for being able to choose what kind of playstyles you want, like if you want a lower battle value so you're playing with lights and mediums as you can see here, or if you want to go to the war for 25 million and then face off against assaults mostly. But for now, that screwed it up. Just a moment. And I'm back. Okay, so basically what happened was when I switched over to the war settings and then back to Clash, I wasn't able to bring back the original team that I put together. That's okay, I just put it together real quick and edited it out for you. Okay, for Lens preset selection, this is basically for getting together a pre-made team. And this is great for people who want to just quickly get started, or for new players, or for players without a favorite mech. Unfortunately, there is no way to save your favorite loadouts for now. An option to choose loadouts randomly, or to have an all-random loadout, but the CPU does have a random option right here. Down here is where you see the map. You can select any of these maps. There will probably be more in the full release, but this is actually pretty decent for a beta. Unfortunately, there isn't a random selection right here. I hope they do come out with a random selection right there, along with a mood, which is basically your ambient lightings, and some say that it may have effects on heat and vision range, but there's no way to really test that right now. So hopefully Harebrained Schemes will clarify that at a later date. And as for battle mech selection, over here is where your battle mechs are, obviously. You can click on them, you can scroll through the list, all the way up to 100-ton Atlas. There will be more in this list once the game actually comes out. This yellow bar indicates which mech you have selected. At the top we have a sorting feature. Right now there isn't much reason to sort for the different mechs because right now we're primarily going to go off of the battle value. You can mouse over each of the mechs and actually go through the loadout and read its description. This is mostly fluff description, but it can actually help you develop strategies if you want. So right now you see this has a SRM-2 and a large laser and a medium laser with some ammo. And then some descriptions on how much army you have and internal structure. And then some basic mech details that don't give specifics, unfortunately, like heat numbers or specifically the initiative phase that you go in, but that's okay. This is just a general idea on what to look at. One thing that it could use is an additional window telling just the basic loadout of this, like large laser, medium laser, and SRM2, or if it has jump jets, because scrolling through this, it's more detailed, and that's good, but it would be nice to have something to tell, okay, does this have jump jets? And rather than having to scroll through and, yep, there's jump jets, it would be just nice to see it just plainly on a window. But that's not exactly important for the final game, it would just be nice. And then once you're done with your selection, you just click on the mech that you want, and it's selected. Or if you're completely fine with the mech that you already have selected, you can just click off or just click there. That works too. Over here we have the pilot selection. It basically works the same way as the mech selection, only the sorting is actually a lot more useful over here because you can sort between the different stats that you want to go for. These stats being the gunnery, piloting, guts, and tactics. For gunnery, that's your accuracy for your ranged weapons. For piloting, that's going to be your physical attack accuracy, and there are going to be other effects related to that in the future, but it's not currently in the game right now. Things like stability damage is in the game, where the piloting skill will probably modify how much damage you can take before you get unstable and get knocked down. For guts, this is the amount of heat your mech can take before overheating and taking internal damage, and possibly before they shut down. It's not quite clear yet, but I'm sure it'll become clear once the game actually comes out. For tactics, this may seem more weird to have an actual stat on here, but they're actually using this stat as a vision range modifier, and also a accuracy for when you're doing called shots, for like when a mech is shut down or when a mech is knocked down. That way you have more chance of hitting those locations that you're aiming for. In the case of some pilots, like this pilot has a gunnery of 3, but it has a tactics of 8. So it basically wants to not really fire its weapons normally, unless a pilot or an enemy mech is knocked down. Down here is where your pilot's abilities are listed. So things like sensor lock, precision strike, you can read all of those descriptions, and it's pretty good about telling you what it does. Over here you can see the preferred battle mechs. I don't know if that actually plays into if you get any kind of bonuses for gunnery or anything if you put them in those mechs, or if it's just there to give you an idea on what mechs would be good with them. Hopefully Harebrained Schemes will let us know in the future. Alright, so I'm going to go over what I put into my loadout and let you know why I put them in. Okay, so in the commando, I wanted a light scout being able to take a pilot that can get sensor lock. He has a pretty decent gunnery, has an awesome tactics, decent guts, and almost no piloting. So basically I don't want to be meleeing with this guy. And he's in the light anyway, so it's not really wise to melee with lights most of the time anyway, even though he does have hands. The loadout that I chose was the SRM6, SRM4, and medium laser, so basically a really nice close range punch. But basically I don't want him to get engaged unless there's a vulnerable enemy that I can sneak up behind, or there's an enemy that is shut down or knocked down, so I can take advantage of his tactics ability. The urban mech is basically going to be a standoff type mech with its AC-10, which is actually doing a lot more damage than it should be doing at this point of the game. And it also has a small laser and some jump jets. It's kind of a joke in the mechwarrior community and BattleTech community, but this thing is legit a threat because there's so many people getting headshots from this AC-10, and it's doing the same damage as a Gauss rifle would. In the urban mech that I chose, I have Sumo. He's a good gunnery, and he has precision strike. So basically when he's firing a single weapon, which is usually going to be just his AC-10, he ignores cover and guarded on that target. So basically he's going to be ignoring a lot of defensive bonuses that the pilots will be getting. Here I have the Vindicator. It's a nice little jump-capable medium. And this is going to be for fire support as well, along with the Urban Mech. It has a medium laser, PPC, a bunch of jump jets, a bunch of heat sinks, small laser, LRM-5. In this I put Arclight, which, let me find her here. Okay. For Arclight, she has Master Tactician, which gives +1 initiative and loses unsteady when reserved. This is a very powerful ability, and also has great tactics for vision range and a decent gun rate skill. It's a solid fire support mech with PPC and LRMs. Here's the heavy hitter. This is the Kintaro. Okay, so the Kintaro is mostly short-range missiles, SRM-6s. So it has 6 missiles per launcher, and there's 3 SRM-6s. And then an LRM-5 long-range missile shooting 5 missiles per volley, and then a couple medium lasers. No jump jets, but it's actually pretty decently fast, and it has a decent melee. Inside this mech, I have Paradise. And Paradise has Evasive Move. Your move action grants Evasive 50% chance to dodge all incoming ranged attacks until your next turn. Does not apply to melee moves or when unsteady. And he has a decent gunnery, but he's going to be so up close and in people's faces that he doesn't need that much gunnery. He doesn't need the tactics. He does need the piloting because he will probably be punching a few things. And guts for the heat. He definitely needs that for the heat. Alright, that's my loadout. For the enemy, they have a pair of urban mechs. This is the default loadout for when you start up the game, essentially. And I'm also going to be running the default map just starting out. I'll bring out different loadouts for other times. So I have a pair of urban mechs. Both of these pilots are pretty decent. They have decent gunnery at 6, and they both have bulwark. Yeah, this one has 6 as well. This is a hunchback, and what you can expect from a hunchback usually is its massive AC-20, which is the most powerful weapon in the game pretty much, but it's very short range. It's the same range as a medium laser. And incidentally, it also has a couple medium lasers as well. It's not that fast, but it has a heavy punch. They also have Sumo for their pilot, which is also the precision strike that I had over on my urban mech. And they also have a Kintaro as well, with Wildfire and their multi-target ability. Note that at this point of the build, they don't actually use abilities like multi-target that you can actively use. They only use the passive abilities. So with that, let's get started.
Commencing deployment. Mech warriors, prepare for combat.
So you'll notice it actually loads pretty quickly, even before this load circle finishes filling up.
Command interface initiated.
And welcome to BattleTech. In this map we have a river going down the center of the map. This is my deployment zone, and this is the enemy's deployment zone, indicated by this. Scrolling in, I use the scroll wheel to move up, and then right-click and move the mouse. Right-clicking and moving the mouse turns the camera. And now you get a nice view of the Kintaro, the Commando, the Vindicator, and the Urban Mech. The Urban Mech, as I mentioned before, is a kind of a joke mech at times, because it's kind of viewed as a trash can on legs. And interestingly enough, in the lore, it has such a small engine inside of its chassis that they're able to stuff in contraband and sneak it past customs. So I don't know if they're going to implement something like that within the game, but it might be an interesting dynamic of the game. Alright, so down here is where your pilots are. You can click on it to select them. I can hit the escape key to exit any kind of selection or any kind of command. And then here's your morale bar. When this fills up all the way to the top, you can inspire one of your pilots. When they're inspired, you can essentially make your pilot have 100% accuracy. Well, it's usually 95% accuracy, but that's not before taking the modifiers for minimum range into account. So your LRMs are probably still going to have pretty poor chance of hitting if you're point-blank range. Okay, so once you hit the escape key, you can actually quit out of the game, and you can't just hit it over and over again just to get out. You actually have to hit yes, which is a good thing because you're going to be using the escape key a lot. You can also use tab to select between your pilots, which will be very nice, especially for targeting enemy units. Down here you can actually take a look at the paper doll of your mech, a paper doll indicating what parts of your mech are damaged, its damage loadout essentially. And then down here is where your weapons are. Some people have noticed that they don't realize that your hit percentage is over here, so you can actually turn off different weapons and make sure that you're not firing weapons that you're not going to hit with. So here's your hit percentage, and here's the amount of damage that you're going to do, or potentially do, and your ammo, of course. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up. You can see your movement area by these little pips or dots, and you can see your sensor range by this circle. And an enemy can be within sensor range, but they still need to be spotted in order to fire at them. So that's the nice thing about having somebody with high tactics. This guy has 8 tactics, so he has a pretty good chance of spotting somebody when they're out in the open, or even in cover sometimes. But he also has the sensor lock ability. Over here you can brace to remove unsteady or to gain the guarded ability. But actually I'm going to go through that as I play. So let's move you here. And since there's no enemy contacts, I can actually move all of my guys at once. So I'm actually going to move Sumo.
Commander?
I probably should have moved him before the Commando.
Got it. I understand.
So when I'm in the forest, I get evasive and cover. Well, not evasive, but evasive because I sprinted into the cover. And now the enemy's moving. As you can see, they're showing up on sensors, but they're not within visual range. Now what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to go for witness. So what I want to do
Waiting on you, Commander.
is I want to move back if I can, but unfortunately my own guys are blocking my movement. So what I want to do is I want to move
Yep.
Arclight up. Come on. Sometimes I have to move the camera just to get the ability to move to a certain pip. Okay, now she can detect him. I probably should have waited for that. Nope, can't go back. Okay, so I'm going to brace since I can't take a shot this turn. Enemy's making
Hey,
its
Commander,
move.
I got something on sensors.
Now it's basically, in each of these initiative phases, we basically take turns, unless I'm in a phase that no other mechs on the enemy team are actually in. So like, let's say I had an assault mech that ends at the 1 initiative phase, and nobody else on the enemy team is there. We're not going to take turns, it's just going to be that mech that's going to be doing it, unless they reserve. Okay, witness, you get out of here, you take cover behind your buddies. And get a sensor lock for me. And you're actually out of sensor range. That's one thing I should have done first, is to check ranges. But for now, brace. I probably should have reserved. That's okay though. This is all for example anyway. Move you up to the edge of the forest, because I'm gonna want him holding still and firing pretty much every turn. See, if I had my commando up there still, he would probably be able to spot this 55 tenor by now. And this 55 tenor is probably the enemy Kintaro.
Reporting.
So, right now, I'm going to move up
Certainly.
with my Kintaro. And I have two options. I could fire right now, which is a little bit of range detriment right now. See, I click on him, I can see his paper doll and see how much damage he's taken, that kind of thing. I can actually scroll over this. Yeah, over here it shows that he moved. He gets a +2 defense modifier for moving a short distance. He has entrenched for a 50% stability damage reduction. And he has guarded, so he's going to take 50% damage if I fire at him right now. So what I want to do actually is I want to brace.
What can I do for you?
Okay, witness, I want you to stay in cover.
Moving out.
Get a sensor lock on the Kintaro. That'll remove the evasion, and it'll also remove his movement bonus. See, Paradise actually has that ability where if I move, I actually automatically gain the evasive bonus. So he's entrenched, he's guarded, and he has the evasive bonus, so he's not going to take much damage even if he is going to take a hit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
What do you
Arclight,
need?
let's take a shot. See, he still has the entrenched. He has sensor lock, so he's not evasive anymore. Or he doesn't have the bonus to move from the movement he did. And this means I have a 90% chance to hit with this. If you just mouse it over, you can see that I'm actually getting a bonus for firing from above. So I'm getting higher accuracy from firing up on a hill. Let's fire.
Acknowledged.
See, I did actually half damage there, but it still hit. Any damage is good damage sometimes. As you see down here, I actually did a little bit of stability damage. When this gets up to here, I'm able to actually knock him over if I get him up to here. But if I go from here to up here, it's not going to knock him over at that point. That gives him a chance to move away and steady himself. But if I get him up to here first and then up to there, he's going to fall down, and the pilot will get injured. Eventually it will kill the pilot if he gets injured enough.
What's up, Commander?
Obviously. Okay, he has precision strike, which means if I just fire my AC-10, it's going to ignore cover and guarded. So I probably should have fired with him first rather than Arclight.
Target marked.
100% chance. And not only that, but since the AC-10 is doing as much as an... Basically the AC-10 is bugged right now, so it's doing as much as a Gauss rifle instead of the proper AC-10 damage.
Gut.
Ooh. See, now he's unsteady, He has the unsteady modifier. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't show there, but that's okay because, I mean, you can see it with the bar.
What's the plan?
So if he takes any more damage to the point where he goes up to that point, he's going to fall down. And he's going to get even more hurt. So what I want to do... Sometimes the interface can get in the way. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to just get back here, get a rear shot. See, I'm actually going to use the tab key right now in order to automatically select him without even clicking on that, because there's another problem with how the game works right now, and I'll show that in a minute. So I'm going to take off my LRM5 because 40%, that's not great, and I need to preserve my heat. If I get up to this point, it's going to get to the point where I'm doing damage to myself within my internal structure. My armor will be okay, but the internal structure will start getting cooked. If I get all the way up, it's going to shut me down. That provides two problems. Number one, it makes it very easy to hit. Number two, the enemy is able to get a called shot. And the third problem that I forgot to mention, so 3 problems, is that you're going to have to spend an entire turn starting back up again. So you're wasting another turn in addition to those other problems. So let's fire.
Maybe you're due. You're squirming in your cockpit, aren't you?
Okay, Caboose. Good job. See, I almost killed that Kentaro because I hit from the rear. And this guy's hitting from my left side, so I'm going to take left side damage. And he hit me with an AC-20, which hurts a lot. Okay, so what I want to do... Let's see... Yeah, they get the movement bonus, they get the water bonus, which is just a heat. Sumo.
Yeah?
Actually, no. I'm gonna stay here. 75% or 90%. Well, 85 for the PPC, which is the main gun. Let's try to knock you over. Yeah, I'm firing the LRM5 and wasting a little bit of heat, but I'm not really losing that much by doing that.
I'm taking the shot.
I have plenty of ammo. The idea is that I want to knock him over.
Come on, send me a real mech warrior.
Something I can do.
Alright, let's get that guy down. Notice that this guy's at 65% now. This is due to the movement that he's done. It's partially obstructed, which you can tell by the line. Let me escape out of this. You can actually tell when it's partial cover when the line does this. So it's like a faint line and a very strong line. So when I'm doing that, I can also... Oh, also autocannons, when you fire multiple times in a row, you get a refire detriment. So he's getting a +2 defense modifier when I have that. But I'm still 65%. I'm still going to take the shot.
Yeah, I missed.
Yeah, I probably should have moved where I have direct line of sight. That's okay, though. Good job, Paradise. Alright, so... I'm actually going to reserve... What's he gonna do? Is he gonna back up and hit me in the back? No, he's going to go for the urban mech.
Oh, crap. They're hitting
Yeah, I probably should have backed him off and...
Oh! Oh! I think I broke my collarbone.
Ouch. That sounds painful. Alright, Paradise, see what you can... See what you can do to finish him off. See if I can get the right angle for this. Alright. This is gonna start getting toasty, but let's finish him off. There you go. That's a catastrophic explosion. One mech down. Now I have to deal with this hunchback. Oh, that works.
Waiting on you, Commander.
Alright, witness. Note that I'm not actually taking advantage of the terrain or my enemies in this match. I'm just using this match as an example. So what I usually like to do is I like to draw the enemy Hunchback and Kintaro over here, because these urban mechs really like to do the sniping game with their Gauss rifle AC-10s. And let's see, I think I'm going to sprint this guy. Play the squirrel.
Got it. Max speed, no shooting.
Unfortunately, when you sprint, you can't shoot. Because he has an excellent vision range. Okay, Simba.
Yeah?
I want you to stand up as soon as possible.
Alright, I'm up. Let's go.
I don't actually have line of sight to the Hunchback. I have 45% on him. And notice how bad my accuracy is right here. Okay, this is one of the problems that I've had before. It's not actually letting me fire at him. It will let me fire at him. But even though I was knocked down before, I still get the refire bonus. And I'm at 40%. I stood up, I get a +4 from that. Basically, I'm not going to hit. What I want to do is I want to take cover. So let's jump.
Okay, I'm on it.
Urban Mech actually has jump jets. Okay. And I want you to brace. Well, left torso is bad. What did I lose? I lost an SRM-6 and a medium laser. It's not the end of the world, but that's definitely not good. Okay, witness.
What can I do for you?
You can't get a rear shot on him. I don't know if you even really want to. So what I want you to do is I want you to work over those urban mechs. See that guy, 90, 85, and 85. So it's pretty much the same, even though it's the range, whatever. Anyway, let's work this guy. Most light mechs have light armor, obviously, but I mean, he's in cover, so he gets a 25% bonus to his defenses. I didn't mean to reserve. Oops. Oh, that works out. Alright,
What do you
arc
need?
light. Do you have line of sight? Yes, you do.
Firing.
Let's work this hunchback over. I want him to get knocked down as soon as
Yes,
possible.
Commander.
Hopefully my evasive will still kick in. Well, since I have the heat, fire everything.
Going down.
Hopefully take out that massive cannon. Nope, it's still up. So he's meleeing me. I can
Can't
take it.
many more hits like that.
Oh, apparently I can. Also, nope, he has a small laser, so he can melee and use the small laser.
Internal damage.
You can also do that with machine guns and flamers. Alright, so what do I want to do now? I think I will use Sumo.
Okay, I'm on it. I'll
Fire at
make it.
95%. And I got a headshot.
Kill.
I'm so sorry. See, that's... Ouch.
Reporting. Structural damage.
See, that's the problem with having the AC-10 being such a versatile weapon and doing that much damage, is it... See, in classic tabletop, an AC-10 would do 10 points of damage, and which is essentially the same damage as a PPC. PPCs do 50 damage in this game.
Yep.
Let's see. When you look at a head pilot, you have 15 structure and 45 armor. So if it was doing 50 points of damage, it could survive that. It would be in the structures and it would hurt the pilot, but it would survive it. But when it's doing 75 points of damage, it's just going to rip the head clean off, just like the Gauss rifle, which does 15 points of damage in the tabletop and 75 here in this game. Alright, so I need to give my commando some backup. Let's see, Master Tactician. Yeah, let's get that. Notice I'm not firing at him because it's indirect fire and I get a accuracy bonus. Or accuracy penalty in this case. So I'm firing at him so I don't have that penalty. Plus I can fire my direct fire weapons.
Commander?
Alright, I do want to get him out of here
Moving to position.
where they don't have line of sight to him. And then I can brace myself, get rid of that negative penalties.
Reporting.
I kind of want to do the same with my Kintaro buddy over here, mainly just to cool down.
Moving out.
I mean, I could do it in the water, but it's not going to do much in the water, for line of sight anyway. But then again, they have to get line of sight at this point. Alright, so I'm losing heat that way. See, I did 56 there because I was actually in the forest, and the forest gives me the cover, which gives me 25% damage reduction. Let's see. So that medium laser would have 50% for what reason? Because it's long range. That's the main reason. If I get much closer, I'll be losing on the LRM-5. So let's try to go here. Come on. Come on. See, that gauge isn't that easy to tell. I mean, you can tell by the circular area. Yeah, I can't do it anymore. But anyway, actually I'm going to use my Inspire.
Show me your war face.
Okay, now they're inspired. Automatic 95%.
Acknowledged.
And it ignores a bunch of bonuses. So I went into internals there. That hurt. But I'm still up. Okay, so... Sumo. Let's move up into pretty much your optimal range. The target size is +1. Yeah, might as well take the 70%. I'm starting to run out of ammo though. There we go. Left torso gone. There went the small laser, so he can't really melee me as easily anymore. Let's reserve. Okay, we're in this phase right now.
Yes, Commander.
I want to get him back into the water. So let's go over here. See, I get evasive there. I don't have my LRM-5 anymore, unfortunately, but that's okay. It's mostly the SRMs that you get a Kintaro for. And I'm going to be doing that as well because I'm in the water. And that's one urban mech down.
That would be a kill. Good to go.
Okay, Witness. Let's see what you can do here. Move you into cover. Taking quite a risk here. I probably should have turned my mech before doing that. And let's do this.
Affirmative.
Good damage. The urban mech is one of the tankier lights. And there went my CT. That's why you turn your torso and try to spread the damage.
Something I can do.
At least it wasn't a headshot. Let's see.
I'm here.
Arc light. Let's move you up.
Confirmed.
See, I don't actually have line of sight to him because it uses ray tracing to spot that this rock is in the way. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to brace myself. I probably should have reserved. In fact, I think that's what I will do now.
Sounds good. Awaiting
Paradise.
orders.
Actually, how about you take a breather back here to cool down?
Coordinates confirmed.
Right there. And brace yourself.
Right here.
Sumo, brace yourself.
Standing by.
That'll give you your accuracy back for not firing 2 times in a row. This is gonna hurt.
Reporting light damage.
At least I braced for it. Alright,
Something I
Sumo.
can do.
55. That's probably due to range. Yep, long range. Target moved. Target size. So let's move. See if I can change that. Let's jump up here.
Aye,
That
aye.
will fix that. Urban Mech's jumping range is actually longer than its walking range. So 80%? Do I get any detriment for jumping like that? No, actually you don't, which is really weird. I'm used to the classic board game stat. Left torso destroyed. Alright, Arclight. What I want you to do, death from above.
Confirmed.
Missed one of the shots, but the other one hit right in the center torso. And now we're both unsteady. See, death from aboves are very risky. Let's turn like this, so I'm trying to spread the damage to my left side. Oh wait, I forgot this one. Yeah, that's my right arm that's still attached, actually. That's unfortunate. That's one of the problems I have with this paper doll, is that it's actually reversed from what I'm hoping, usually. Why is this so low? Target moved? Yeah, target size, okay.
Target
Alright,
acquired.
so let's fire. Hopefully that all goes into the center torso. Nope.
That's a critical hit.
At least I got a heatsink and knocked down. So he's going to be much less likely to hit me next turn. Looks like he's gonna melee me, even though he's missing his small laser. He probably would have been better off shooting his AC-10. Oh, actually no, because of the stand-up bonus. Or detriment.
Yeah?
Sumo, you don't have good line of sight there, but... let's sprint.
I'll
Now
put
that
the
you'll
pedal
get a
down.
chance to actually get into the range.
Aye, aye.
Quite. Let's do another death from above.
Here we go.
I wish I could change some of the camera angles when it's doing this. And there went the center torso. So far, I'm actually really enjoying the game. Let's see the after-action report, or debriefing. So it took 34 minutes, 49 seconds. Part of that is because I was talking at the time. 10 rounds. So my commando got cored out in the center torso. My Vindicator had almost killed itself, but it still had a little bit of internal structure left. See, when you do death from above, you also do damage to your own legs. And there are pilots that have bonuses to that, where they don't do as much damage to their own legs. So one of the things that I have a problem with in the game that isn't really the fault of the game is that I'm actually having to record at 1600 by 900. And I can run the game just fine at higher resolutions, like my native monitor is 1920 by 1080, but there's a bug in the system where it wants to reduce it to a different resolution, even when I'm set at 1920 by 1080, so it kind of does a dual layer thing where it actually displays the lower resolution, and it's also displaying the other resolution in like a background layer or something. And that way my OBS isn't actually able to detect what's actually being displayed on screen. At least this is what I'm suspecting is what is going on. Normally the game runs just fine. I kind of wish it challenged my system a little more graphically, but I think it's a really pretty game. Especially when you get into the nighttime missions. But other than that, let me know what you think. I'm really enjoying the game so far. I have high hopes for the full version of the game, and keep in mind, this is beta. Thank you for watching. And then once the game is over, you can do a service afterwards. Or, excuse me, a survey afterwards, and this gives you an ability to give feedback to the company, and hopefully they can fix some of the bugs. Maybe they can make improvements, like being able to see what kind of modifier you're going to get for moving a certain amount of pips, that kind of thing. Let me know what you think, and have a good day. Greg Atlas signing out.